Heritage maintains an auto reactivation program here at the museum with the belief that cars were meant to move, they were meant to run, and the best way to preserve them for the future is to get them running and keep them running. We have 40 cars in our collection right now, 21 of them run. Our auto volunteers go through a pretty extensive discovery process before we decide to reactivate any individual car, so we can understand as best we can in advance what problems we might encounter with a particular vehicle in the process of getting it running again. We had a good example with that with our recent reactivation of a 1931 Ford Model A Deluxe Phaeton. All the discovery process that the guys did came back very positive. It ended up needing a complete engine rebuild, which wasn't clear until we were already into it. We have had a lot of conversations about whether or not driving these cars is a good idea, and come to the conclusion that yes, it is. So once we've made that decision with any particular car, we go through the discovery process. We do all the work we need to do to get that car running, to keep it running. We have an auto exercise program here at the museum. So in nice weather months between, say, April and November, our group of auto volunteers comes in and drives the cars through the grounds. So with the goal being that for all of our running cars, they get driven at least 3 times during the year. The fuel we use is aviation fuel, which does not have the ethanol that is added to modern fuels that we would buy at the gas station. Ethanol just eats away the inside of these motors and is not good for classic cars. We have a small select group of volunteers who have years and years of expertise in maintaining and driving these vehicles. When we're thinking about which cars to reactivate, we think about which cars we already have running. So the goal would be to have as wide a variety of cars operating as possible. And then, of course, we go through the mechanical discovery process and decide which cars are good candidates for that. For the cars that are not running in our collection, they receive static maintenance twice per year. So that means that the auto volunteers go to that car, they will turn over the engine by hand, they will check fluids in that car to make sure everything is topped off. They will jack up the car and rotate the tires. They'll check tire pressure, all of that sort of thing. The goal here being that the cars that are not currently running stay in as good a shape as possible until we decide to reactivate them in the future. For visitors that are curious about which cars in the collection run, we have added a logo on the exhibit label that says it runs. We have a small dedicated group of folks who come in and clean the cars every week. They, in general, just use California dusters to clean the cars. We do a more in-depth car cleaning once a year right before we open. That involves cleaning the glass and vacuuming out the interiors, but mostly it's just California dusters. The starting process for these antique cars is nothing like our modern cars where we could just get in and push a button and we're off. These, especially the early cars, require a long, complicated series of actions to get them going. Horns are interesting. They're different for every car, different tone, different sound. The early cars, of course, have a bulb horn that you actually squeezed or pressed down with your foot. Later cars have actually electric horns hooked up to their batteries and sound much different. If you want to learn more about our car collection here at Heritage, you can go onto our website and look at our upcoming programs for our behind-the-scenes tours, where we actually go into auto collection storage and look at all of the cars up close.